Hello everybody, today is the day I can finally say we're doing something writing related to show you that I just don't lurk online and complain all day and do basically nothing regarding writing. If any of you are familiar with the online writing scene, you might have heard of the NaNoWriMo, which is the National Novel Writing Month. If you haven't heard of it, don't worry, I'll explain it to you. The National Novel Writing Month, or for short, NaNoWriMo, is a yearly event anyone can participate in. It doesn't cost anything, you don't even need to register on their website, you can just do it on your own. And the goal is to write a novel, or more specific, to write 50,000 words in 1 month, which equates up approximately to 1,666 words per day. Which in all honesty is quite a bit, but still in the realm of doable, because I have noticed for myself, I can't really write more than 1,000 words efficiently per day, so 1,666 is a little bit of a challenge, but we'll see how it goes. I have never won the NaNoWriMo, which means I have never finished 50,000 words in a month, but it's still a fun challenge to do. And because of lucky circumstances, and because I'm participating this year again, I am making this video to maybe help some of you who want to take part in it last minute, or even next year, or even not participate at all and just do it on your own. I don't know, I don't care. Do what you want with this. The plan, a novel in a day thing, it might sound completely ridiculous and unreasonable to some of you, but it's very much possible. If 1 day is too little for you, which it was for me, it took me 2 days, that's completely fine. Some people just take longer, but technically it's doable in 1 day, so that's what I called it. First of all, we need to differentiate between the so-called plotters and the so-called pantsers. A pantser is someone who doesn't plan their writing. They just start writing and see where the journey takes them. If that's you, then I'm sorry, this video will not be for you. You're gonna be fine either way, I think. The thing is just that I am not one of them. There's of course also a type of planster, which is right beside, or like right between the pantser and the plotter. In this case, maybe this video will be for you, but it's more specifically targeted to plotters. I personally would consider myself a plotter, more on the plotter side, because I've tried pantsing and it starts off great, but then the story goes absolutely nowhere and I'm left with multiple drafts of about 30,000 words, which just don't go anywhere and I don't know what to do with them, so I stopped pantsing and started planning actually, so there's that. And because this year I'm focused on winning, I want to win this year, I decided to plan everything as well as I can, which leads me, of course, to the topic of this video. If you like, you can do this together with me. I'll try to make this not too fast, and you can do this on whatever medium you want, be it digitally or physically. I'm writing this in a notebook, so I'll have this readily on hand everywhere I go. I like to have an overview of my characters, so I will do that in a kind of bullet journal style, but you can, depending on the medium you use, do anything that suits you or not do this at all. I first printed out some picture references for the characters I found on Pinterest, I'm sorry, and I'm going to write down the most important things I need to know about them. This means, for me, full name, alias or nicknames, age, occupation, and their role in the story. This will probably be different to you depending on what you write, but again, choose what you are comfortable with and what works for your story. Once this is done, let's get into the meat of the whole video, which is actually planning your novel in a day. Let's get the basics out of the way first. NaNoWriMo means the minimum goal is 50,000 words. But I've set my goal to 60,000 words because that makes everything that follows a little bit easier for me to explain. But if you're not doing the NaNoWriMo, you can set your goal as high or as low as you like. Because the NaNoWriMo is held in November, that means that we will have 30 days to finish our goal. Divide your target goal by 30. In my case, that means that I will have to write 2,000 words per day. Your number might be higher or lower, and you know what's best doable for you. My working title is Memory Leak, and it's a science fiction thriller, so I think that 60,000 words is a reasonable goal for this project. Next, we will figure out how many scenes our novel will have. For English literature, a length of 750 to 2,000 words is an average. I settled on 1,000 words because that's how long my scenes usually are, and it's a good middle ground. Divide your target word count with your target scene length. In my case, that means that I will have 60 scenes in total. Once the amount of scenes is set, write as many numbers as you have scenes on a number per line. Once that is set, take something that you can distinguish your scenes with, like a different colored pen. The next step will involve a little math, but don't worry, it's gonna be very easy. We will use a 5-act or 3-act structure depending on how you divide your story. I usually work with 5 acts. Most of the time when you're planning a story, you'll maybe have things like the ending or the middle already figured out, but you don't know how to get there. In my case, it's usually figuring out the middle or the climax of the story. Your first scene is going to be the inciting incident. That means where the plot starts going. Mark this one with 1 color. Now take your target scene count and multiply it by 0.2. In my case, this works out to be scene 12. This is going to be your so-called call to action. This is the point where the story really gets going. Up until here, you should have introduced the world and your main characters to your reader. Next, divide your target scene count by 2. This is the halfway point of your story. Up until here, your characters should have reacted to the call to action and the story becomes more and more intense. And if that's the case, you should introduce all characters by now. In my case, the halfway point is scene 30. This scene is your main plot twist where the story turns into a different direction. Next, multiply your target scene count by 0.65. In my case, that is scene 39. This is the second call to action, where your characters are forced to act yet again because they are in a pinch. Next, to determine the climax of your story, multiply your target word count by 0.8. In my case, this is scene 48, and this is the point where your characters are given a new piece of information that acts as both a plot twist and to further bring tension into the plot. And your last scene is going to be the resolution, your ending. Now that we have figured out our major plot points and our acts, the only thing that is left to do is to fill them out. I found it to be the easiest if you fill out the plot points that we have determined first and then fill in the gaps. Like I said, sometimes it takes a little bit longer than 1 day to figure everything out, but theoretically it's doable in 1 day. And now, if you have done this, the only thing that's left is to actually write your novel. I hope that you found this video very helpful. If you have your own techniques or ideas or tips, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Links to my social media in the description, and I hope that I will see you in my next video that is writing related. If not, I will upload. If you're here from and you don't know me, I upload weekly game development logs where I talk about the progress of my game, which is a visual novel, which means basically what it says. It's a visual-based text adventure, and if you're into that, I'd be happy if you follow me around. Otherwise, I wish you have a nice day. Bye.